The Ombudsman suggests more efficient ways for medical counsel to handle complaints. Tai Po Fire Investigating Committee finds key clues pointing to systemic loopholes. And President Xi Jinping urges U.S. to handle arms sales to Taiwan with prudence. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. The Office of the Ombudsman took the initiative to investigate the work of the Medical Council of Hong Kong's Secretariat. It found that some complaints were still in the preliminary investigation stage, 7 years after receiving the case.
醫生講過對佢不公，咁就對我哋公平咩？
A medical complaint, 15 years in the waiting. The case involved a disciplinary inquiry into a doctor after a couple filed a complaint to the Medical Council in 2010 that their newborn son developed cerebral palsy because a Baptist hospital pediatrician acted too slowly on nurses' warnings. Currently, the Medical Council's complaint mechanism comes in 4 tiers. It must first go through the preliminary inquiry committee, then to the disciplinary inquiry for deliberation, with a possibility for appeals. In the past 5 years, a total of 263 cases were handled by the inquiries. More than 70% of them were completed within 5 years. But 11 cases remained in the backlog and took 10 to 15 years to complete. The median processing time for the initial consideration stage by the investigation committee is 10.4 months. The investigation committee deliberation stage takes 14 months, and the inquiry stage takes 11 months. In some cases, the preliminary consideration stage took 8 years. As of the end of last year, the Medical Council had a backlog of 895 complaint cases. 7 years after the receipt of the complaint, some are still in the preliminary consideration stage. Jack Chan, the Ombudsman, says the Council's current complaint handling monitoring mechanism shows multiple systemic deficiencies in its management and operation. Even though the Medical Council amended the relevant regulations with reforms in 2018, the Ombudsman finds that the handling progress remains too slow. It puts forward 21 recommendations urging the Medical Council to streamline the procedures. They include improving legislation and strengthening the mechanism for medical councils to review cases, as well as stepping up supervision of the staff performance of the council secretariat. For medical dispute cases that do not involve the ethics of medical staff, mediation methods will be introduced. At its first directions meeting, the independent committee investigating the deadly blaze at Wanful Court in Tai Po found key evidence pointing to a series of systemic issues, which they find unacceptable. The first public hearing will take place on March 19th. The independent committee's first meeting was held this morning at the City Gallery in Central. Some 400 citizens who had pre-registered were required to undergo identity verification and security checks before entry. Also in attendance were legal representatives for the committee, the government, the Urban Renewal Authority, Wanful Court's property manager ISS East Point, and director of Willpower Architects Wong Hap Yin, which offered consultancy services for Wanful Court's renovation works. Judge David Locke, who's also the chairman of the independent committee, led the attendees to observe a minute of silence in remembrance of the victims before the meeting commenced. Locke says the committee's responsibilities encompass examining the cause of fires, reviewing whether corruption and bid rigging were involved in Wanful Court's maintenance works, assessing existing laws and penalties, and making recommendations. Any individual found to bear legal responsibility will be referred to law enforcement agencies. Describing the incident as extremely serious, he says public expectations for the investigation are very high, so the committee opted for a non-statutory inquiry to allow greater flexibility. But he says the option of recommending a statutory commission of inquiry to the chief executive would be retained if insurmountable issues arise. The committee has written to government departments and organizations involved requesting documents, which are now being analyzed. He acknowledges that it is challenging to complete the probes within 9 months. The first hearing on March 19th will be open to the public and will continue on every working day thereafter. Parties may apply for certain evidence not to be made public. Legal counsel to the committee's senior counsel Victor Daw says investigators have obtained highly useful and important evidence, giving them a strong understanding of both the cause of the fire and broader systemic issues. He says the evidence appears to point to a series of structural problems that were unacceptable and cannot be ignored. Attendees included residents of Wanful Court. Granny Tang says she hopes the investigations will deliver justice and those who are responsible should face the consequences. Citizens and organizations may continue to provide information related to the deadly blaze on or before next Tuesday. More than 2 months after the devastating fire at Wanford Court, residents are still waiting for clearer plans on how they will rebuild their homes. Last month, the government distributed a questionnaire to collect residents' preliminary inclinations with possible options, including redevelopment on the original site, relocation within the same district, or flat-for-flat exchange. It is understood that one of the options under consideration is for the government to commission the Housing Authority to acquire ownership of the affected flats and assist residents in selecting replacement units. However, no final decision has been made so far. In response to enquiries, the government says more than 90% of owners have returned the questionnaire. The Working Group on Emergency Accommodation Arrangements is expediting consolidation and analysis of responses. Some Wanford Court residents who are staying in transitional housing have said that they hope to return to their homes as soon as possible. The leaders of China and the United States discussed a wide range of topics, including trade and energy, during a phone call on Wednesday evening. With both sides suggesting it was positive and friendly, the conversation entailed a warning from President Xi Jinping that Washington must handle the issue of arms sales to Taiwan with prudence. She has expressed readiness to work with Donald Trump in the new year to steer the giant ship of Sino-U.S. relations steadily forward. Danny Zhou reports.
Wednesday's phone call that lasted for approximately 2 hours was the first interaction between the two leaders since November and came ahead of Trump's planned visit to Beijing this April. Both of them affirmed their personal stakes in strong relations. She said he and Trump have enjoyed sound communication and had a successful meeting in Busan, South Korea, charting the direction and course for their bilateral ties, to which he attaches great importance. Xi highlighted some of the key items on the two major countries' agendas for the new year: China's 15th five-year plan and the United States' 250th anniversary of its independence, saying he hopes they can accomplish more big things and good things together. He said that differences with the U.S. could be handled amicably on the basis of mutual respect, while calling for the two sides to make progress step by step and make 2026 a year where they advance toward peaceful coexistence and win-win cooperation. The Chinese leader also made clear the Taiwan question was front and center. He reportedly told Trump that it's the most important issue in Sino-U.S. relations and that China will never allow Taiwan to be separated from the country. The U.S. side must approach arms sale to Taiwan with great prudence, Xi urged. Last December, the Trump administration announced the largest ever U.S. weapons package for the island, including $11.1 billion in weapons. For his part, Trump said he understands how China feels about the Taiwan question, adding that he would like to see both sides to continue talking to each other and keep their relationship in good shape during his presidency. Soybeans remains one of the economic flashpoints between two of the world's largest economies. After the call, Trump suggested that China is considering increasing its purchase volume of U.S. farmed soybeans from 12 million tons to 20 million tons in the current season. The Chinese readout of the meeting, however, made no mention of the soybeans. Trump told reporters that he and Xi also talked about Iran, Russia's war in Ukraine, airplane engines, and oil and gas. Early on Wednesday, Russian President Vladimir Putin had a video call with Xi, in which he said they are prepared to continue the closest possible coordination on global and regional issues, both bilaterally and multilaterally. Putin has hailed the Russia-China cooperation in foreign policy as an important stabilizing factor in a context of increasing global turbulence. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Panamanian President Jose Raul Mulino said he firmly rejects a statement from China's Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office after a court ruling annulled C.K. Hutchison's contract to operate 2 ports at the Panama Canal. China earlier warned Panama there would be heavy prices to pay, calling the Supreme Court decision absurd, shameful, and pathetic. Mulino wrote on X that Panama is a state governed by the rule of law and respects the decisions of the judicial branch, which is independent from the central government. C.K. Hutchison expressed strong opposition to Panama's ruling, saying that it will continue to consult with its legal counsel. Meanwhile, Panama Ports Company SAPPC, an indirect 90% owned subsidiary of C.K. Hutchison, has initiated arbitration against Panama. And still ahead, U.S. and Iran talks brought back from the brink while American Navy jets get prepared. Ukraine and Russia in discussion while attacks continue on battlefronts. And 3 new galleries for visitors at Hong Kong Science Museum. Welcome back. Nuclear talks between Iran and the United States will take place on Friday in Oman, the Iranian foreign minister said, as tensions between the countries remain high following Tehran's bloody crackdown on protests and riots last month. The announcement came after hours of indications that the talks were faltering over changes in the format and content. U.S. President Donald Trump, meanwhile, sent a blunt warning to Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei ahead of the talks. Nasir Karim with more.
Various fighter jets take off from the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier somewhere in the Arabian Sea. A military helicopter hauls supplies from the replenishment oiler, the USNS Henry J. Kaiser, and deposits them on the Abraham Lincoln. The fleet is standing by for word from President Donald Trump with an attack on Iran a potential scenario. Trump, in an interview with NBC, sent a warning to Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei ahead of talks.
Should the Supreme Leader in Iran be worried right now?
I would say he should be very worried, yeah, he should be. As you know, they're negotiating with us.
I know they are, but the protesters have said, you know, where are the Americans? You promised them we would have their back. Do we still have their back?
We've had their back, and look, that country's a mess right now because of us. We went in, we wiped out their nuclear.
So that's the question, if we wipe them out...
We have peace in the Middle East. Yeah. If I didn't take out their nuclear, think of it, if we didn't take out that nuclear, we wouldn't have peace in the Middle East.
Apart from a perceived nuclear threat, the US said it would attack Iran for the way they handled street protests last month, during which thousands were killed, including hundreds of police officers. Israel's Mossad intelligence unit, in a rare admission, said they were in the field during the Iran protests. And US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent admitted during the World Economic Forum in Davos to economic statecraft linking Washington to Iran's currency crisis that sparked the riots. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said talks will take place on Friday in Oman instead of Turkey as originally stated. One source told the Associated Press that the US remained skeptical but agreed to the talks only to appease its Arab and Muslim allies. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the Iranians wanted a change of format to the talks to narrow the scope.
If the Iranians want to meet, we're ready. They've expressed an interest in meeting and talking. If they change their mind, we're fine with that too. We prefer to meet and talk. I'm not sure you can reach a deal with these guys, but we're going to try to find out. We don't see there's any harm in trying to figure out there's something that can be done. This is a president that always prefers a peaceful outcome to any conflict or any challenge.
Nazri Karim, TVB News.
Russia and Ukraine concluded the first day of the second round of U.S. broker talks in Abu Dhabi. All sides deemed the dialogue productive. The session came despite Russia continuing to strike Ukraine's vital energy infrastructure with large-scale missile attacks. Daniel Rao tells us more.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he had received a briefing from the Ukrainian delegation and discussed the results of the day's talks in Abu Dhabi with the negotiating team. Zelensky said Ukraine's position on effectively ending the conflict is very clear, adding Kyiv's partners should achieve this goal through solid security guarantees and by putting pressure on Russia. He said negotiation teams have agreed on another prisoner swap with Russia in the near future. Rustem Umerov, Secretary of Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council and a member of the Ukrainian delegation, said the negotiations were substantive and productive. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the door to a peaceful settlement of the situation in Ukraine remains open, but Russia will continue the special military operation until appropriate decisions are taken by Kyiv. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told reporters a breakthrough on Ukraine-Russia peace talks may not come for a while, but U.S. President Donald Trump's administration has made great progress on negotiations from this time last year.
Progress is probably not going to be known, even via leaks, until we really have a breakthrough. Our goal is to remain committed. We've committed a year to this. We think we've made real progress. If you look at the checklist of open items that existed at this time last year and the checklist of open items that remain now in terms of reaching a peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia, that list has been substantially diminished.
Meanwhile, 60 foreign diplomats visited a thermal power plant in Kyiv that was badly damaged in a Russian attack a day earlier. Officials described the strike as the largest assault this year on energy infrastructure, involving a record number of ballistic missiles. The plant provides heating to about 500,000 people. Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister Oleksiy Kuleba said Russia fired 5 ballistic missiles at the Darnitska power station. A recent spate of Russian strikes on Ukrainian energy facilities has caused the worst damage to the grid since the war began nearly 4 years ago. Elsewhere, at least 7 people were killed and 8 more hurt in Russian attacks in the town of Drushkiva, in the Ukraine-controlled frontline region of Donetsk. Dunreal TV News.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the younger brother of Britain's King Charles, has moved out of his mansion on the royal estate in Windsor. This following new damaging revelations about his links to Jeffrey Epstein. The expedited departure came as Thames Valley Police announced they were investigating allegations that Epstein flew a second woman to Britain for Andrew. Meanwhile, the British government agreed to release documents casting light on the decision to appoint Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the United States despite his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer was grilled on Mandelson's appointment during a debate in the House of Commons, and he pointed the finger at Mandelson himself.
Mandelson betrayed our country, our parliament, and my party. Mr. Speaker, he lied repeatedly to my team when asked about his relationship with Epstein before and during his tenure as ambassador. I regret appointing him. If I knew then what I know now, he would never have been anywhere near government.
Police have uncovered a new type of crash-for-cash insurance scam, having arrested suspects including 2 doctors over their alleged involvement in dozens of compensation claims by conspiring to provide false documents. Lawmaker David Lam from the medical and health services sector said that if the allegations are substantiated, the case would amount to serious professional misconduct. Timothy Lee reports.
Several vehicle owners have reported receiving unreasonable and inflated compensation claims following minor traffic accidents. Police said that in relation to these suspected new crash-for-cash cases, at least 4 people have been arrested, including 2 doctors on suspicion of forging false documents and information. This, as the Insurance Federation said, that the current 3-year limitation period for traffic accident claims means some suspicious cases are filed 2 years after the incident, making verification extremely difficult at the time of settlement. The director of the Insurance Federation of Hong Kong said that after 2 or 3 years, it is almost impossible to verify whether claimants were truly unable to work or suffered severe trauma. The Federation believes the 3-year claim period should be reviewed and said insurers may in the future require claimants to submit additional supporting information beyond medical certificates alone. As the case involves 2 doctors, the medical sector said that if proven true, the conduct would constitute serious professional negligence. Lawmaker David Lam stressed a zero-tolerance attitude, adding that the sector is exploring ways to enhance the credibility of medical documents. He said there are plans for all such documents to be issued through eHealth, where each certificate would carry clear records. On whether the accident claim period should be shortened, Lam said the issue will require further discussion. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Speaking about the suspect of the 1989 Long Ha Wan Beach murder case having been earlier extradited from Thailand, Police Commissioner Joe Chow said he believes there is sufficient evidence for him to be charged. The 62-year-old man was suspected of being the leader of a group of 4 that tricked a 25-year-old waiter to Long Ha Wan Beach before murdering him. The 3 others have been arrested, with the mastermind having evaded authorities for close to 4 decades. This, as the police commissioner said, the suspect's appearance has changed over the years, adding that Thai police required a period of time before determining his identity. He stressed that further investigation is needed to confirm the man's connection with the murder case. The Science Museum will open its 3 new permanent exhibition galleries, focusing on AI and technology used in daily life starting tomorrow. The museum said it hopes the new galleries could attract a new category of visitors and expects the visitor figure for this year to increase by 10% compared with last year. Timothy Lee was there.
Starting tomorrow, residents will be able to enjoy viewing some of the latest technological wonders at the Science Museum's latest living tech, InnoTech, and AI galleries. Showcasing some 20 sets of exhibition items, the museum aims to use the galas to demonstrate how residents can use technology on a daily basis.
The three new galleries actually have a common theme. We want to emphasize the intersection between the technical development and the people's daily life. So for the AI gallery, we think that AI is the hot topic of nowadays, and we want people not just know the application, but also learn that different AI models can have a different function and can help humans to make our life better.
Interactive displays have also been installed throughout the AI-themed venue, providing visitors with a first-hand experience with the technology that many call the most important breakthrough of our times. Having recorded over 1.2 million visitors over the past year, the museum expects the new facilities can generate greater interest in various scientific fields and increase the visitor figure by 10%. Among the sea of futuristic tech displayed at the Science Museum's new galleries, perhaps this DC-3 airplane is the most eye-catching of them all. Nicknamed Betsy, this decommissioned military transport aircraft was purchased by Cathay Pacific as its first civilian plane, carrying passengers all across Southeast Asia and Australia. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.